Welcome to Recouped the podcast, where we uncover the depths of sustainability and its impact on the world.
We're your hosts, Vicky
and Michelle.
And together we'll explore what it means to live more sustainably.
Hello there.
Hello.
Vicky.
Yes?
I have a question for you.
Yes?
Do you remember that one time when we were at that Victorian country Christmas market and we were dressed in corsets and
Yes.
Victorian garb?
Yes.
The school marm?
We were. You guys, go look at our Instagram and you will see pictures. We look really good.
So at our markets, we like to chat and talk and
Yes.
listen. We
Yes.
listen to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
At this particular market,
Yeah.
we heard a few people kind of under their breath say stuff, we kind of hear, we like to listen for feedback.
Yes.
And we heard somebody say that they don't know what sustainable means.
Yeah. You're right. They did. They would walk past and...
Yeah.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
Yes, I do.
But not intending to even learn.
Correct.
It was just walk past, say it, walk away.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Well,
I wonder why that is.
I looked it up.
You did?
I did.
Okay, good.
Well, because when we were doing research for the podcast, I was just like Googling the terms of sustainability and Googling this thing. And then all of a sudden I had the aha moment. I was
And I
like,
kind of have an idea now.
Yeah.
After we listened to a few podcasts last
Yeah.
week, I kind of have an idea.
do you have an idea?
It's really boring.
Yes. Okay, we did have an experience, y'all. We are
It's
just
hard.
trying to do something different and fun. So we hope that you enjoy this podcast about sustainability, but we...
Found it really hard to listen to.
Yeah, we did. But great job to everybody out there doing your thing, because we know you have an audience. There are people who are into it. But for us, we got to do it differently.
And
But
on a
yes.
day-to-day basis, you're just a happy, positive person. Listening to it is a...
Yes.
We don't want it to be like that.
No. But in that case, so like people, I will share something that I learned when I was looking into sustainability, reading. I was not listening to anything. Those folks that were walking past us, the first, we'll just give you an age range. They're our parents plus age. So I would say our parents are creeping into the 60s, 70s age. And so keep that in mind.
Boomers?
Are they
Is that a
boomers?
boomer?
I think,
okay,
yeah.
Boomer.
Tracy says yes, it's a boomer.
Okay.
So these boomers and this generation, okay. But then I was looking into sustainability and I was like, what is it? Why is it confusing? Why is it so hard for people to understand? Why do, when we say it to people, they're like, I don't really know. There's multiple reasons. But the first thing I want to share was, y'all, I was reading an article on ecobusiness.com, and the first time that the word sustainability hit was like in 1978. So there was a United Nations event, and I forgot the gentleman's name. He was a guy in Europe, and they're all ahead of the game when it comes to some different things like that. And he used the word sustainability in his speech or in the conversation, and that was the first time it was introduced. And then from there, it was repeated and shared amongst the world. But with that, it was still very confusing because it encompassed so much more than just the environment, right? Mm-hmm. It was like not just environment, and if it's earth friendly, it's like sustainability in legislation, sustainability in tech, in personal behaviors. But he was talking about sustainability, and then I think that's why now those folks that heard that word in 1978 were our age.
Yeah.
And now
They already had their lives figured out for the most part. We don't know what we're doing every day, all day, but
yeah, but it's one of those
They've
new
learned the
catchphrases.
stuff that they
It's a
need to
new
learn.
thing. Like for us now, we're like, ooh, these kids talking about the words like yeet.
Yeah,
I'm learning yeet.
Sigma.
Or sigma. So like for us, we're like, huh? Can you just give me a quickie about what that means?
We're just turning into those old people now.
So what I'm saying is us, but them 30 plus years ago, we're like, okay, cool new word. I've lived. I know what I'm doing. But now, as we're saying it, and it's being a hot popping word, and that's for us and everyone, around us, they understand and they can appreciate what it is. That's why these guys didn't know what it was, because it's confusing. And it was a late term word, I guess you would say, at that rate.
And the crazy thing is, like that generation, those boomer generation, they are I mean, other than like the plastic being new plastics coming in,
Uh-huh.
you know, into that generation, they are the sustainable ones. They grew up with parents that were like post-depression
Yeah.
era, so they know all of these
So
things.
they
like, we get
know,
people
and
like,
they
my
can
grandma
practice.
used to do that.
Yes.
We always did this. We
Yes.
always did that. You know,
Yes.
we always mend our own clothes. We always do this. Like everybody can stitch. Not, you know,
Yes.
now it's a lost art.
Yeah. And I think the reason is like you made.
So they are applying it to their lives every day. They just didn't understand the word.
The word
Yeah.
connected to the
Yeah.
things, the actions that they're already
Yeah.
doing. So anyways, we're just saying out there,
And we're just a little
sustainability-
part of the sustainable problem. Like we're just focusing on the industrial plastic
yeah.
for our business.
Yeah, we are.
So that's what we were kind of shouting out at everybody. Like, we are sustainable plastic. Woohoo.
Yes,
but they were like, what?
But and quickly, if they didn't stop to listen to us, they
But
wouldn't.
also, yeah, it is like you're applying everything. Like you're exercising every day, eating healthy, where you get your stuff, what you're doing, like what you're teaching your kids. Like all of that is, if you do it sustainably.
Yeah. And I think something to consider too is like the word sustainability in itself, sustainability. Is that six?
Yeah.
6 synonyms. It makes it a really big word.
Yeah.
Just in general. It's a really big word.
And we're going to have some other big words on our
Yes,
next episode too.
We will. But it's just a really big word that can be really confusing, that can be really overwhelming, and that can really like make someone feel nervous, like we've talked about before, in like not understanding what to do, feeling
like when
overwhelmed
somebody
and
says,
knowing where to start.
What does integrity mean to you? Like at an
Yes.
interview, and then you're like, what? Next
Let me
question.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you know, like it was just an interesting thing to hear or to read.
Yeah.
And then it literally
It
clicked
makes
in my
sense.
brain
Yeah.
why folks were confused about it. So I'm just happy to say we're here together. We're going to do it a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be life-changing, world-changing. But like...
And that's the sustainable way to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Everything should just be done a little
Yeah.
bit at a time. Otherwise, it wouldn't be sustainable because
Yeah.
you would lose the steam to keep it rolling.
Well, okay. So since you're talking about a little bit at the time, we found some interesting posts online that we wanted to share because people have questions that can relate to sustainability and the little bit at a time.
Yeah.
So
And this first post is from Reddit.
yeah.
Vicky, do you want to read it? And then
Yeah.
I think we can break
Yeah.
down some tips for this lady.
Okay. So somebody on Reddit, I think it's a Seychelle is her name.
Seychelle.
I don't know. Seashell? It says, what are really practical ways to live more sustainable? Hey y'all, I'm a stay-at-home mom on a budget without a whole lot of time to spare. We live in a really pretty rural area, so it's hard to find grocery stores and in stores in general. There aren't Walmarts without taking an hour drive. I really, really want to help make our household and family more sustainable, but I get so overwhelmed doing research, it all begins to feel really unattainable. I'm hoping for some really easy, low budget, practical things that I can do to make a difference. Thanks so much for any ideas and suggestions. What say you, Michelle?
Okay.
Since you are
A stay-at-home mom. And I've been in it for years. And I pride myself on being really resourceful.
Yeah.
And working on a budget.
Yeah.
For everything. My first tip would be, since you have kids, just immediately start teaching them sustainable practices. Start saying, you know, this is bad for the environment, or you should wash this instead of throw it away. You should do this. You know, just
or
start
taking care
'cause
of
you're
your
teaching them.
toys.
That is
Yeah.
a sustainable way, is to teach them how to do it that way. So that would be my first tip. But also, I do have a good book, Zero Waste Home.
Yeah.
Bea Johnson.
Yeah.
She goes over the 5 R's
Oh, tell us
of
the 5
recycling.
R's. Yo,
And I really
did you
like
know
this
there's
because
a
this is something
5
that we
R's?
apply. And in our last episode, we talked about thrifting. So if you listen to this or that episode, you'll hear all these great tips on how to thrift. And that's something I live by in my house. Having kids, I go with that renting, thrifting mentality. I'm going to use it for a little bit and then turn it back to the thrift store. And I get my money's worth. I'm not overdoing it, and I don't have to feel guilty about it. And then, you know, with kids, everything is a short cycle.
Yeah. So you think about the 5 Rs.
Yes, the 5 Rs. So
Yeah.
and then with our pre-cycle, we love that word.
Oh, we love pre-cycle.
The 5 Rs: refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot.
Rot.
Yeah. So if you apply these, so pre-cycle, one of my friends who just became a mom,
Yeah.
on her baby shower invitation, she asked that people only give her second-hand items, no new gifts, their favorite hand-me-down books and hand-me-down toys.
Yeah.
And I loved that because that's pre-cycling. She's asking
It
for
is
it in advance, and it's easy for everyone else to jump on board with. And
then at that point, the
Yeah.
pre-cycle part of it isn't just like thinking about it in advance. The pre-cycle is like, okay, all of my mom friends are going to give me something that they have used, which means they have loved, which has been useful and functional for them. That's what I need. I don't need a whole bunch of the hot go gadgets for the baby, you know, and that kind of stuff. So then that way to go, Carly.
yeah, good job, Carly. And for the moms, so being intentional when you're pre-cycling too.
Yeah.
When you go in to a thrift store with that mindset of like buying something that you could keep like almost forever too. Like that thought of buying that quality item, that treasure find that you can have, and that will be really useful for your family.
Yeah.
And then refuse is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Refuse new things.
Yeah.
Just tell yourself, like coach yourself. Like I refuse to buy anything that I don't need when I go into the store.
Well, another refuse that I seem to have a problem with, in the sense like it seems to want to come to me, is when people want to give you things.
I know.
You're not responsible for
give-
other people's stuff.
And do not, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know.
Yes.
I happen to keep getting from
Yes.
folks things. And I'm like, I don't want, I never asked, not even my style. I don't drink. What the heck? I
Yeah.
don't need 3 of these.
And then it becomes into your cycle.
And it comes into my cycle that I have to be responsible for.
And then when you think of things like, especially for like moms too, your most valuable commodity that you have is your space and time.
That's true.
So you can spend it wisely by planning ahead, getting only what you need, and using it diligently.
That's good.
Taking care of your stuff, servicing your things. A good tip would be like small electronics. One of the things my dad always said when I was growing up, never leave it on a charger. Once it's fully charged, take it off the charger, and then that little appliance will last longer. So those are just tips of like getting your things, making sure your things last longer.
Yeah. I think that's really good.
And then teaching your kids.
Yeah.
Just start that cycle now.
That's good. That's really good.
But rot. I wasn't expecting that one when
that's a really cool
we were
one.
going over the 5 Rs.
Did you look into what rot was?
So that would be like the biodegradable, compostable
stuff?
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about.
We'll talk about it in our next episode.
Okay. That's really good. Michelle, you have anything else you want to share about that? Or do you want to read the next one to me?
Let's read the next one.
Okay.
Oh, this is from Rain7171.
Oh, I'm glad that was easier than mine.
I've always tried to practice a sustainable lifestyle. Obviously, it's almost impossible to live completely homestead when living in the city, but I try. What books have you read or do you follow to practice that lifestyle a little more? I want to start making my own bread and gardening. I want to have a little bit more discipline when it comes to thrifting or buying from sustainable clothing stores. Where did you start? How did you start? Any tips to keep it up?
Yeah. So if we talk about books, Michelle had mentioned the book called Zero Waste Home by Bea Johnson.
She's pretty cool.
And she's really cool. And again, it's the 5 R's, which is refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot. Is that 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah. So just remember that. So that's something that just kind of helps set the tone for how you live sustainably. And then for me, to be completely honest, it is totally setting the intention, setting your goals, writing it down, or whatever you need to do. And it's a practice. And it might sound really silly. Like meditation. I stand by meditation. But if anyone out there has ever tried to just jump into it, it's like, I'm going to do a 30-minute meditation. Have you never done it before? You're going to fucking hate it.
Yeah.
You're going to hate it. So when I started meditating, it started with a 5-minute guided meditation where someone was talking to me through it, so whether it was like a breathing meditation or a visual meditation. And once I started practicing, my body loved it. So it went to 5 to 10 to 15 to 30, and I yearned for those meditations. And it's like a practice, just like yoga. Yeah. You don't go in there being like a pretzel. You might be stiff as a board.
And
but
that is like the key to sustainable life, like you talked about, is starting a little bit at a time.
A little bit at a time. And so I think that's one of the biggest things is when you hear about someone wanting to live more sustainably, or just anything, you want to run a marathon. You don't just run a marathon. It's not sustainable.
Right? It's like a New Year's resolution.
Correct.
Because you're going in hot.
Yes. Now, I personally do love New Year's resolutions. I love New Year, like actual 2024, and then also love New Year, new to me, meaning my birthday resolutions. Any of my friends, anybody out there knows, I will always ask you what your New Year resolution is on your birthday. Just side note, because I love it, because I just want to know what people are looking forward to for themselves, you know. In their year.
Like, for example, like if your goal was to walk 30 minutes a day, I would say start walking 15 minutes max a day for several weeks until you're accidentally walking 30 minutes. Yeah.
Or if your body feels like that day.
Do not try for 30 minutes a day, right?
Especially if you're not, especially if you're not into that much. No.
But it will become a chore, and then that's not a habit that's sustainable.
Yes, that's exactly what I wrote down in my thing is
homesteading is not easy.
It is not easy. And so I'm just going to only assume the word homesteading was maybe a really broad term this person was using. And maybe they're thinking along the lines of homesteading of like just being more resourceful in their own home, baking their own bread, growing their own garden, building their own things, catching rainwater and different things like that. But that's huge, but a little bit at a time. So if we can just go with like baking bread, right? Find a recipe that is attainable, that makes sense. Don't start off with the fanciest sourdough with all the mixed ins and then you shake it like this and do it like that. No. Find a really nice, like my first bread that I made was from allrecipes.com, Amish friendship bread. It was just white bread.
You barely have to stir it, huh?
No.
Like I remember you, when you were talking about like it was just like,
the no need.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, wait, that's a good one too. Well, let me go backwards. I did the Amish bread because I was like really going for it, and I realized it wasn't that bad, but it took a lot of time. Now I'm onto no need bread. Okay. Literally, it's like 3 ingredients, flour, yeast, hot water, and oil. But it was so quick because you just mix it up and
your hands
let it sit.
You just do it in the pan and you just leave it. Yeah.
And you just leave it. It does its thing. But what I'm saying is, when you think about making bread, don't think, okay, every 3 days I have to make bread. Why don't you just make it one time that week and see how you even feel about it?
Yeah.
Was it worth your time? Did you actually enjoy it?
Bread?
Do you eat bread?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing.
My house goes through a lot of bread.
See, in my house, we don't. So that's why I'll make the no need bread when there's an occasion. Like I'll bring it over to your house and we'll eat it for dinner, or, if there's a reason.
It's always cool to like learn something like that, like making bread, and then just like knowing it off the top of your head.
And just
so you
knowing
could
that
bust
you can
out
do
a
it.
loaf of bread.
Like, oh, people are coming over. Or
you're an expert. You've done it several times or something.
But that is, you become an expert because you practiced it and you know that's something that's sustainable for you to do. So it's the practice of doing it a little bit. So if you have a family and bread is a thing, and you have to make 3 loaves for 1 week, okay, start with one loaf.
Okay, so they'd said they wanted to start gardening and making bread and doing, so gardening and bread are 2 completely different and separate entities of your house.
They are.
And I would always say start with 1 room. A garden isn't a room, but you can pretend like it is at a time. If you're going to go sustainable, try just making your bathroom sustainable. In your household, and just try that for a whole year. You have your whole life, and hopefully that's a long time to do the sustainable thing. So, and if you want it to be really sustainable, take your time at it and try to, try new things for your bathroom, what are going to be easy, or your kitchen. If it's, making bread, becomes
if that's for you,
joyful and you really enjoy,
I think also too, like if we go back to gardening, because I also love gardening, is don't go ham and like go buy yourself acreage and then all of a sudden think that you're going to grow all the corn and potatoes and the tomatoes. Let's just start with like a little 4x4 foot garden, because you will outgrow it. It's like just like chicken math. It's garden math, You're going to outgrow it. But the first thing is, let's trial and error, because what's going to happen is if you try to get a giant chunk of land or what a giant space, you're going to be so overwhelmed because you have to know how things grow and you know how much water they need. All I'm saying is start little. Do a little lettuce bed. Too.
It ends up being so that could be one of those things that isn't sustainable because you're going to be spending a lot of money probably. But if you do it with that mindset of I'm doing it on a very, very strict budget, then you get a little bit more resourceful and inventive.
Correct.
Like you'll start coming up with things in the garden.
No, that's true. And just doing a little bit at a time. Learn how to professionally grow lettuce.
Like composting your
and
stuff
compost
too.
all of your garden goods and the things from the kitchen. And maybe instead of, I won't lie, 30 tomato plants like me.
Vicky has a problem.
I have a problem, but I can maintain it. Yeah. I love it. I share it. I share it with you. I do. I make a lot of soup. Do you like the soup?
Yeah.
It's a tomato carrot soup, y'all. It's really good. Anyhow, sustainability takes practice. So if you aren't into it, or you're just getting started, it sounds fun, it sounds amazing. Don't go all in and go crazy and then feel overwhelmed. Do a little bit at a time. So if you've been craving to go thrifting to the thrift store, pre-cycle. Do I need those pair of jeans? Why am I going thrifting?
Pre-cycle. You're going to the thrift store and you see something that you must have for your kitchen to bake because you're going to be a homesteader.
Yeah.
That could be your chance to get it.
Yeah, that's your chance to get it. Otherwise, just be thoughtful and intentional. And it takes practice, y'all. Just a little bit at a time, and it gets better, and it gets easier, and it gets more fun because you challenge yourself. But... So those are our questions.
It is the fulfilling part of it, the reward. So consistency is key, and starting with baby steps. Not overdoing it.
Yeah, but
just start with one thing at a time.
Start with one thing at a time. We know the idea of sustainability can be really overwhelming. Like we said at some point in our podcast, it is 6 syllables, so it sounds like a really, really large, really overwhelming thing. But we're here together. We're going to share our tips. We know it can be scary, but it doesn't have to be because your girls over here, we got you covered. We're going to support you. We're going to learn some shit and we're going to teach it to you.
Ask us anything.
Ask us anything.
But I don't know if it,
yeah. Thank you for listening to us today. This is the episode of, living sustainably, asking questions. I'm Vicky.
And I'm Michelle.
Tell them about the tips.
This is Recoup.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And also, we do have a tip jar attached on our little link here. Any little amount would be so appreciated. We'd love a coffee, tea, a little biscuit, cookie.
Yep. And if you want to learn more about our business and how we make our bags or see the fun things that we're up to, go to www.recoupeddpnw.com or find us on Instagram at recoupeddpnw. We'll share about all the things that we've got going on and some behind the scenes. Until then, thank you for joining us. And remember to recycle, reduce, and recoup. Till the next time.
Bye.
Bye.